Hey yo, so I just finished watching an episode of Raising Kanan, right? And for those of y'all that don't know, it's a show on Stars. That's all I'm gonna give it. But yeah, so I started asking myself, you know, if you had to like think about every episode that you've watched, they in season 5, what would you say is the root issue of everything that's going on right now? And I started thinking and I was like, well, I would have to say the mom didn't want Kanan to basically follow in her footsteps. For those of y'all that don't know, the mom is a drug mastermind. Like she runs a drug empire in New York. And so in the beginning, like when the show first started coming on, the mom, Raquel, she was sending her son, Kanan, to like different schools, basically trying to get him to have different opportunities and be around different environments than what, they had access to, you know what I'm saying, when she was coming up. And so, but Kanan didn't want that. Like, he wanted to be a part of what she was doing. And so he started feeling some type of way at some point, like, yo, you be lying to me about who you are and the work that you do, XYZ. And, again, he just wanted to be a part of the empire, and as a good parent, it's like, no, I want you to do better than I did. Which I'm like, and I think all of us at some point have heard that from our parents. They want us to do better than them. You know what I'm saying? And so as I was just looking at that dynamic and I just started thinking, it made me think about how that's how some of our relationships have played out, where we want better for other people that don't want better for themselves. And because we continue to try to push them and pull them into something or be somebody that I'm not even going to say haven't been caught. I think sometimes we see so much potential in people and we try to push that potential out of them versus like allowing them to get there on their own, and we just be there for support. And so instead of being there for support, it turned into a real life tug of war, you know? And it made me think about, you know, me and how I show up and how I've shown up in a lot of my friendships and relationships. Like, I can literally tell y'all about every good or close friend that I've had within the last 20 years of my life. And I have always found myself at the intersection of pulling them so that they can be the best version of themselves. And one of the reasons that I did that was because I always want to see the good. I always want to see people win. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, for whatever reason, I believe that one of my gifts is I'm able to like see beyond like the surface. So a lot of times when I meet people, it's like, and I get to know them, it's like, wow, I see so much in you that you're not even accessing right now, And so I be feeling like, or I felt like it was my job as a good friend to help bring it out of you, because I'm like, what type of friend would I be to be around you and allow you to just sit on your potential? To me, that's not being a good friend. But that's my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Because truth be told, I wouldn't want nobody around me that's allowing me to be mediocre. That's allowing me to accept the bare minimum. That's allowing me to just be complacent in life and just allowing life to pass me by when it's too much opportunity out here to just allowing life to pass you by. You know what I'm saying? So as I was, just thinking about my role in that, I also thought about how much havoc that I've experienced over the years. Like, if you ever get the chance to get to know me, you'll find out immediately. Like, I'm a real cool, down to earth person. I really be laid back. I'm not for drama. Like, I don't, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I really just be, I'm really about enjoying life and living life to the fullest. So I'm not the one to like sit around and gossip and, on all of that drama type energy. Like, that's just not me. Right. And so I've found myself when I've had like confrontations and arguments, it made me think about, like I said, as I was just wrapping up the episode, I was just like, man, think about how many arguments and just how many different tough situations that you have put yourself in just because you was trying to be there for somebody and help somebody turn their life around or have a better life, a more desired life, a more fulfilled life. Think about how many situations you've put yourself in all because you was trying to save somebody that didn't want to be saved. And that really sat with me for a minute because I started thinking about just what life has been, for a very long time. And I was like, man, I can literally recall, I remember being in college and I almost dropped out of college because the girl I was dating at the time, she was going through like some really crazy stuff. And, me being there, I'm trying to be supportive. I ended up taking on like her energy and everything that she was coming with. It got to the point where like she didn't show up to class, I didn't show up to class. Now we skipping class together and we just somewhere just laid up doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? And it got to a point literally where it was like, okay, you done missed way too much like class. So you're gonna have to retake classes and whatnot. And I remember even at some point, like I said, she had a lot going on. She was battling some things. And, you know, it just really went downhill. And because I was, oh, I loved her and stuff like that, you're in college, young, dumb, just out here doing stuff. And so I thought about how like my family was telling me like, yo, if you gonna be with her, you're not gonna be able to be around here because she bring too much. You know what I'm saying? Like that's gonna bring you down in the long run. But I wasn't listening. And so I just remember how that entire situation went down. And it caused me to be in like a mini depression. Like literally was just ended up working in places that I never should have stepped foot in. Like I worked at the Goodwill for about a week just to try to help bring some money to the table for us because we was essentially like out on our own. Like her folks was still, around, but for me it was like, okay, I gotta figure out a way to bring some money in here. And so we ended up even just going to go live with one of her friends and that turned into a whole mess. I mean, it was just so much chaos and it was so unnecessary when I think about it. But that's the thing about life. I don't remember who originally quoted this or said this, but you understand life. You don't understand it like when you're going through it, right? But you live life forward, but you understand life backwards. And so what that means to me is when you in that moment, like I said, you might not understand half of the things that you're going through and why. But as you continue to move forward and live life and then be able to look back on just everything that you've overcome, you start to actually pause and realize, dang, I see why that happened, or this is what I learned from that, or I had to go through that to get here, or this, that, and the third. So that situation to me, it's one of those things where it's like that was the start of bad decision making when it came to relationships. And I can wholeheartedly say that. Like, I can look back on so many situations where it's like it all boils down to me always wanting to save people, and people don't want to be saved. One of the hardest things that I feel like I had to learn and accept was there are some people that are really okay in their situation. And what I mean by that is they can come to you and tell you about their situation and how they want change and how they want, a different life, and they want to be this person and they want to do this and they want to do that. But you have to start learning to listen with your eyes and not just your ears, because people can tell you stuff, but their actions don't actually line up with forward movement of, okay, this is something that I want to change. And so for me, I hadn't learned that at the time. So I'm like, oh, I would listen to what somebody say, and I'm an action person, right? So I'm all about personal development. I've always been about that. So when somebody come to me and tell me that they want to do something or they want to be something, like my immediate thought is like, okay, bet, boom, we about to run it up. We about to make some changes. And so here I am doing things that I wouldn't normally do. You know what I'm saying? Working in environments that's not even suitable for me. Y'all, I was at Goodwill for 7 days and I worked in the back. Like, once people drop their, clothes off or whatever it is that they bring in, man, I was back there and I was working and I was pulling out all of these stuff from the bins and stuff. I have eczema. So literally, man, when I tell y'all, my skin for that entire week, my skin just flared up. I'm talking about my skin was irritated, burning, just all type of stuff going on with my skin. And I was just like, oh nah. And I was probably making like $7, I think maybe like $7 an hour or something like that. And I was just like, this ain't it for me, man. Like, this ain't for me, you know? And literally just to get off work, come home, find out the girl cheating. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yo, I'm really out here trying to like help us have a life, right? And I'm already knowing this is bare minimum for me. But because I love you, I'm accepting this. I'm doing this with you. And it's just like, wow, man. One of the things that I learned is that no matter how much potential you see in a person, you have to love yourself more. And you have to love yourself enough to walk away from a situation when it is not serving you. And when I say serving you, meaning if it is not helping you grow, if it is not for your well being, if it is not adding to your well being, it has to get cut. And I know we struggle with that because it's like, these are people that we love. And so, we want to take everybody with us, right? At least that was my thought process. Like, oh, I always knew I was going to be somebody. I always knew I was going to make it to the top. You know what I'm saying? But one of the things I always used to hear is, yo, it's lonely at the top. And so I'm like, oh, okay. So to eliminate that being my problem, I'm going to help lift up some people and bring up some people, and they're going to come with me. And the thing about that is the thought process is not wrong, but in order to bring somebody up with you, those people have to actually want to go up. There are some people that are literally okay where they are. You know what I'm saying? Whatever level they on, they are okay being right there. And they can say, oh man, I wonder what it would look like to get to the top. But the truth of the matter is, they don't actually want to put in the work or go through the process of actually making it to the top. So I had to learn, and it took a while for me to learn. I'm talking about, I think I learned this within the last 2 or 3 years, where I'm just like, you know what? I am done trying to bring out people potential. Like, I am done trying to change people, because what I realize is it's not on me to change them. You know what I mean? Like, that's me taking God's seat. And it's like, nah, I don't want to be God. I can't even be God. I don't even have the capacity at all. You feel what I'm saying? But it really made me realize I was so drained in life, and I was so frustrated with life throughout the years because I was tired, or at least that's how I felt. And when I say tired, meaning like I felt like I was carrying everything for everybody, you know? And so it literally got me to a space where it's like, I started going to therapy, and I was going to therapy, but I started going more consistently. And I also read like books like Atomic Habits, Boundaries. Um I think it was like what is that? Gear shift mindset or something like that. Like, I just started reading all of these like self-help books. And it was crazy because I would be reading this stuff, and I'd be like, yo, this is something that I would write. This is something that I would say. Like, this is like, I could write. You know what I'm saying? But it was just like, I think one of the kind of silent killers we don't recognize is that when you are so busy trying to help other people pull out their potential, you end up sleeping on your own. Because you don't have the same type of drive and energy to actually focus on your own and getting out, you know, getting past what your potential actually is and actually living it out, walking it out, because you're so drained from trying to, you're carrying everybody else's stuff. And so that was really a breakthrough moment for me, when I got to that point, because it was like, wow, I never realized how me trying to help carry everybody else was actually keeping me from working on and doing more of what God has actually called me to do. And not saying that He hasn't called me to help people, but there are actually specific people that are assigned to me. And so when I'm doing it God's way, right, there's not any heavy lifting the way I was doing when I was doing it for, you know what I'm saying? When I was doing it my way. And it's just such an interesting, thing to kind of sit back and think about, because again, you don't even realize how much time you're wasting that you could be focusing on you and doing what you need to do so that you can actually become, and that's what it's all about, becoming. And so, yeah, man, I wanted to just jump on real quick and just give you some gems. If you are in a space where you're in a relationship, a friend group, even a job, whatever it is, an organization, whatever, it is very important for you to pay attention to what's going on. And if these people, that thing, that organization, whatever, if it is draining you, that means you're carrying weight that was never meant for you to carry. And you need to kind of reevaluate, what is it that I'm carrying? And why am I carrying this in the first place? Who told me to carry that? And you need to set it down. And sometimes setting it down looks like putting distance between you, those people, those relationships, those places, all of those things. And sometimes that distance ends up like kind of cutting the situation off for you versus like, oh, you just did like a hard cutoff. Like, I've literally had a lot of friendships over the years because people wanted to stay complacent. And I finally was just like, okay, you know what? I'm going to let you stay. Like, I'm going to let you do your thing and I'm going to continue to do mine. And so, literally, the conversations started getting quieter because it's like we don't actually have anything to talk about. Like, you know what I mean? And so it's like, so yeah, the conversations get quieter, the phone calls stop, you know what I mean? Just all of that. And it's just like, you had that moment like, dang, man, so and so, that was my partner or that was my homegirl or whatever. I really love going to that place, whatever the situation is. But then as you continue to pause and just think about life, you actually start realizing that you are making room for people in relationships and places that's supposed to be in your life and that's supposed to be feeding you. You're making room for that because one of the things, and I'll tell you this from experience, you cannot take into your next season what is no longer serving you because it will cause you to fall. Even if that's not the intention, over time, because that's what it takes. That's what happens. Little things turn into big things. You understand what I'm saying? Misalignment turns into ruin things for sure. And it's get it while you got control over it. Because when it starts moving through and causing up a ruckus, it's gonna be out of your hands at that point. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year.